Now let's talk about your book, The Idea, the 7 elements of a viable story for screen, stage, and or fiction. That's a mouthful. Can you talk about the idea and what made you write the book?
Yeah. So I've been teaching screenwriting, coaching, and mentoring writers for the last 10 years, as well as writing my own stuff and doing my own projects. And what that's taught me is something I kind of already knew, but became even more clear, which is that it all lives or dies with the basic idea that so much of what makes a project viable is contained within the basic premise you could pitch somebody in a paragraph or 30 seconds or whatever. And that most of the time we writers want to jump into the actual writing of the script without really vetting the idea, without spending enough time trying to arrive at an idea worth writing. And so when I give notes to a writer who sends me their scripts, like 90% plus of the most important notes I have on their script, the notes that most determine whether it's going to succeed or not, are notes I would have had on that 30-second pitch if they told me the idea before they wrote any of the scenes or even outlined it or even did a sort of structure, document. So, and also in my own career, like there was a period where I was pitching ideas for series to the networks, like drama series, and my agents would send me out to all these producers and studios and networks, and I would have to get an idea for a series past them. First, I had to get it past my agents, which was the hardest part almost, because they were very tough on, we're not going to send you out with some idea that we don't really believe in it. So I kind of had to learn for my own sort of making a living at that, what makes a viable idea. It's become this like ongoing obsession. And so I kind of figured out, based on as a writer, as a producer, and as a coach and teacher, what makes an idea worth writing? Mm-hmm. What are really the elements? So, and I've been blogging about the craft for close to a decade now. And so some of this originated in my blog and was like, well, I really kind of worked it out that there's this acronym of 7 elements using the word problem as the acronym, because every story is really about a problem that takes the whole story to solve, essentially. So the problem needs to have these 7 characteristics, and each one gets a chapter where I go into great depth on the pitfalls and how to make that element really come out in your work, whether it's film, TV, or, I think it applies to fiction and other kinds of story as well.
So what are do you mind telling us the 7 key elements?
Yeah. So it's punishing
relatable. Problem. So it's a punishing problem?
Right. So PROBLEM. So punishing, relatable. And these things describe not just the story, but the problem at the heart of the story. Because that's really what you're pitching when you're pitching a story. You're pitching a problem that takes the whole story to solve. So what does that problem have to look like? It has to be punishing to the main character, which means it defies being solved. Mm-hmm. And even though they're actively trying to solve it throughout the story, mostly they're failing and they're losing, and it's just getting more complicated and difficult and important all the way through. I liken it to watching your favorite sports team in a championship game where they're the underdog and they're behind. It's exciting to watch that. And hopefully they'll come from behind at the end and win the game at the final moment. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, there's a lot of things going wrong and you're on the edge of your seat. So it's punishing. The second one's relatable, which has to do with caring about the main character or characters and whatever the outcome of the story is that's in play. You want the audience to invest emotionally in that. It's not as easy to earn that investment as it might seem. Investment in both the main character, which most movies have a single main character. Most TV episodes have multiple characters that get stories. Investing in them and also investing in whatever it is they're trying to achieve or solve. The third is original. The fourth is believable. I should say just original. It's like fresh twist on a familiar genre is usually the way to go, in my view, as opposed to I've got to do something totally different from how anyone's ever done anything before, which usually means you're not observing these other 6 elements because you're all focused on being different. So it's really about building on the shoulders of things that have worked, but with some intriguing, fresh element you're bringing to it. Believable, that's obvious, but so many scripts and even premises for scripts fail when the audience is just like, I don't know that I buy this.
All right.
I don't believe that people would do this, or this situation that's very complicated and arbitrary that you've set up, and I'm not sure I'm with you. So believability is a bigger one than it seems. The L is for life altering, which means the stakes of what's going on have to really matter. E is entertaining, which means don't forget your job really is to bring your audience to some emotional state they've paid to be in because they want this kind of genre to do something for them, whether it's action, comedy, romance, whatever. What is entertainment? How do you achieve entertainment? How do you make sure that's part of what you're doing? And then the last one is meaningful, which has to do with theme and making sure that what you're writing has some resonance beyond the surface events of your story so people feel like, you've kind of, it sticks to their ribs in terms of what it's really about and the human condition and life issues and challenges that we can all identify with.